10 things every angler should have. Now this could be, you know, stuff on your boat, stuff on the bank, you know, just general things that anglers need to have, or at least should have. Number one thing, and I don't have one out here, I thought I brought one with me, but a flashlight or a headlamp or something, you know, because you never know when you're going to randomly decide to go fishing early one morning before sunlight, or just try to get to your spot before sunlight, or if you're going to fish later into the evening, you know, after dark, or even night fishing. A good headlamp, flashlight, or something like that. Doesn't have to be some super high-end one. You can go to Walmart and get a, you know, Railvac or whatever brand it is flashlight for like $2 or $3, or Ozark Trail flashlight for a couple of dollars. And batteries are relatively cheap, so you don't have to have something super expensive. But some of the Bushnell flashlights are like my go-to, my favorite ones. If I can find them, I'll put them somewhere on the screen or in the description so you can check those out. But a good solid flashlight, you know, if you catch a fish and it's later and you can't really see, or like I said, you're going to your spot early one morning, late at night, or, you know, low light conditions, flashlights super handy. Need to have one with you at all times. Next thing, now this is all subjective, so you may have different opinion on what you think every angler should have, so it's just my opinion. But next thing, a good pair of pliers. You know, you don't have to spend a ton of money on these either. These are just some Shimano pliers, which you can find the exact same things on Temu or Amazon or whatever, unbranded, for much less. But you can also go to Walmart and spend $2 on a pair of needle nose pliers that'll work just the same. But a good pair of pliers, you know, something that's got a little cutter there for cutting your line. You have to excuse the wind, we are under a little bit of a hurricane. You know, removing hooks, you know, from the fish, or you might just happen to get a hook in your hand or something. You got something to cut that hook with, you know, pull it out or whatever you got to do. May need to work on your reel or something on your boat or whatever. You got the tools to do it with. There's a ton of different options out there, obviously. Like I said, these are just some Shimano pliers that I got a long time ago. Or on the same route, a multi-tool. You got a lot more options: pliers, wire cutters, knives, saws, whatever you got to do. Well, it's starting to rain. But yeah, pliers are a multi-tool. And while we're on the subject, a knife. You know, you may have to trim some wires, you may have to cut your line, or, you know, scale a fish or cut a fish up for bait. A good knife. Really need one. Everybody should. And if you don't want a multi-tool, just a good pocket knife. This one here is a Civivi Elementum. Super smooth opening on it. I honestly thought this was assisted opening when I first got it, but it's a small knife. I think this is a 3.5 inch blade, but it's small, it's lightweight, it's got a hole for a lanyard. Really good pocket clip so you don't lose it. Again, pocket knife, multi-tool, pliers and stuff every angler should have with them when they're out fishing. Next up, tackle bags, tackle boxes, whatever you want to use. You know, you could be just a little $4 ammo can from Walmart, or just a cheap little toolbox, or a fanny pack, or a backpack, sling pack, whatever it is that you would use for transporting your gear or organizing it. Heck, you could even have a cooler, which would be multi-purpose. You know, you put your bait in there, keep it cool on hot days, put your ice and food, drinks, stuff like that in there. And if you've got the room, you could put your, you know, fishing gear in there. Have less stuff to carry around. It's a more compact option. You know, if you get lucky, you got something to put your fish in if you want to keep a few to fry up when you get home. So a good cooler. I've got several options that I really like. You know, Igloo makes some really good small ones and medium-sized ones. You know, they make good ones for, you know, bigger options, like, you know, more long-term type coolers. And then this one here is one of my favorites for bait. This is a packet cooler. It's got the gel liner so you can freeze it, and it also collapses, so it takes up less room in your freezer. And once you get, you know, 1 or 2 tubs of worms in there, you can throw one of the refreezable blocks in there and keep your bait even cooler on a hot day. And of course, it's actually a lunch box, so you can do that too. But I bought that one for storing worms because we all know worms are expensive and they don't last on a summer day. But yeah, must have a cooler of some sort. Helps out in the long run. Next up, every angler. Now this one isn't really subjective, it's more of a thing that every angler should have with them. Doesn't matter if it's a big kit or a small little pocket-sized kit, but first aid. You know, you may cut yourself when you're, you know, cutting some line or handling a fish or get poked by a fish or get a hook in your hand or something. You know, a small basic little kit is usually plenty. You know, there's a ton of different options out there for how far you want to go with your kit, how extensive you want to go. This one, it's really just a chewing gum pack that I put some extra band-aids in, and the rest of this is more or less a pre-made kit you can get at Walmart that I added some extra stuff, you know, bandage tape, some Neosporin, alcohol wipes, gauze, things like that, so it can handle some a little bit more extensive issues. But first aid kit, every angler should have one with them, regardless of how big it is. And it's starting to pour. But next up, rod holders. If you're going to be on the bank or even in your boat, there's tons of different options. You could, of course, use a stick. Just about everybody has done it at some point or another. There's also the little extendable Y-shaped ones you can get for like $2 at Walmart, the coil type ones. And then you've got some like these right here from Whisker Seeker and some similar brands. And then, you know, more custom ones that are more heavy duty, like these here. This is just a 3.5 foot fence post with a piece of PVC bolted and taped on there. The tape is really just to add a little extra insurance in case it was to pull those bolts through, which I have not had one happen or do that. But rod holders, a lot of them are super compact. Get you some, save you the trouble of losing some rods. Next up, obviously ain't going to use them today because it's raining. Sunglasses. You know, polarized sunglasses have been a staple for fishing for a very long time. You don't have to spend a ton of money on them. You can get some cheap ones at Walmart for just a couple of dollars, and they work perfectly fine. But the higher end ones do come with a little bit higher quality lenses and stuff like that. These here are my favorites that I've been using for a couple of years. These are Waterlands. I believe these are the Milliken series. They also have a mineral glass lens, which is much more expensive and outside my range, but they're super lightweight. Half the time I don't even know I have them on my hat bill or whatever, which means I'm constantly looking for them and forgetting I've got them on. They're super lightweight, super comfortable, and in low light situations they are very handy and just generally help you see fish that you normally wouldn't see. So again, sunglasses, get you some, have them in your bag or whatever. A lot of tackle boxes or bags have a little pouch made for sunglasses, so get you some. That way you can see fish that you didn't know were there. Next up, a stringer, whether it be just one of the little clip types that you can get at Walmart or wherever for a couple of dollars, or just a nylon rope, or heck, even a chunk of paracord. Stringers are super handy. You know, you may need to tie something up if you've got one of the rope style ones, or if you want to keep a couple of fish, well, there you go. They're small, compact, lightweight, and relatively cheap pretty much everywhere. So get you a stringer, keep it in your bag or in your pocket in case you want to have you a fish fry that night. Lastly, one thing that every angler should have with them, and it's not so much a thing of whether you think it's stupid or smart. It's definitely a smart thing to have, whether you like them or not, and that is a phone. You know, a way of documenting your fish catches, pinning places on maps to check out later, or in case of an emergency, you've got some way of calling somebody if you have a cell phone signal, which a lot of places you don't. But there's emergency ways of calling without a signal. So definitely have a phone on you. That way, if something were to happen, you can call somebody and get rescued. Or, like I said, document your fish catches and rub it in on your buddies that are at work and not able to fish. An honorable mention that everybody needs to consider, because it is a serious deal, and that is sun protection. Even if it's just a hat, you know, keep some of that sunlight off your face. A boonie hat to keep it off the side of your face, in front, or your neck. Gloves, sun shirts, or even sunscreen. Sun protection is a big deal. You need to have some with you. Doesn't matter really how strong the stuff is, as long as you keep it regularly applied. As far as the sunscreen goes, sun shirts, sunscreen, a little bit easier to manage. Kind of stinks. You definitely don't want to get it on your bait, but yeah, sunscreen's a little bit easier to manage. Keep some in your kayak, your boat, your backpack, in your pocket, whatever. Spray types are usually a lot easier and more user friendly. So again, sunscreen, sun protection, get you some. And it also kind of applies to your sunglasses. Keep that sun out of your eyes. So anyway, I'm getting soaked because this rain is not letting up. But anyway, I hope you like this video. Again, this is all subjective except for a couple of things that I talked about. So get you a lot of these things, make your fishing adventures or outdoor adventures more fun, safer, and, you know, have the option of keeping some fish and making your tackle storage more compact. And before we cut out here, check out the top link in the description. That's my mule fishing affiliate link. Anytime you buy product through that link, I get a little bit of a kickback. And also check out all of the other links in the description for some of these products in case you're interested in them. Anyway, hope you like the video. We'll see you in the next one.